Okay, here we go. This is on Springboard page 370, number 10. What we're given is the measure of angle MPQ, which is this guy. The vertex is outside of the circle, so we can write an equation using that theorem, how the angle measurement is related to the two intercepted arcs. If the two intercepted arcs are, you've got minor arc QM, and you've got major arc MNQ. These are the two intercepted arcs. So my equation will be the measure of angle MPQ is equal to, what is it? The measure of the angle if it's outside?
Half the difference.
Half the difference. Okay. So 1/2, and I needed to take the difference of these two arcs. Please make sure that you first write down the measure of the larger arc, of the major arc, and then subtract the smaller one. Because if you don't, then you'll get a negative number, and we're not going to have negative angle measurements in this class. You may in other classes, but not this one, when you get into higher mathematics. Okay. So this is what the theorem tells us, that if the vertex is outside, then the measure of the angle is 1/2 the difference of the two intercepted arcs. So let's plug in what we know. I know that this is 48 degrees, 1/2 the measure of the major arc minus the measure of the minor. The issue is we have one equation with two unknowns. I have no idea what the measure of minor arc MQ is, and I have no idea what the measure of major arc MNQ. And so we can't solve one equation with one unknown. So we need to write another true equation about these two arcs. And what else do we know about these two arcs? That when we add them up, they're going to equal 360 degrees. When we add them. Well, I don't know what that is, So now I have two equations, two unknowns, and this is a systems of equations. And we can solve systems of equations. I'll do this in Algebra 1. I'm going to manipulate our first equation a little bit, okay, because this is the first equation, but we just plugged in 48, so we don't need that anymore. I'm going to manipulate the first equation just a little bit. Right now, the right-hand side is currently being multiplied by 1/2. This expression is being multiplied by 1/2. So I'm going to divide both sides by 1/2. What that's going to do is it's going to give me this expression. The measure of major arc MNQ minus the measure of minor arc MP. And when you divide by 2, that's the same thing as multiplying by what? By multiplying by 2. And so this is going to give us 96. The reason I've done that is because now it's very easy to use the technique elimination to solve for one of our variables. So I see that the measure of minor arc MP in the first equation has a leading coefficient of -1. And that's its coefficient, is -1. However, on the other equation, that same variable, that unknown, it has a coefficient of +1. So if I just smush these together, if I add them, then those will be eliminated because -1 and +1 is 0. So I'm going to put a big old plus sign. When I add these, I get 456, correct? Then I get 2 of my measures of major arc M and Q, and then like I said, those are eliminated. This is a 0 pair. From there, this big ugly thing right here, it's just a one variable. That is one unknown, and so it's currently being multiplied by 2. So do the inverse operation with the same value on both sides of the equation, and this is going to give us 228 is equal to the measure of major arc M and Q. And then we can plug this value back into this equation and then solve for the minor arc QM. Why didn't none of y'all stop me? I've been using the wrong letters the entire
I was
time.
about to, but you kept talking.
Golly. That's not P, it's Q. So when you find the measure of the major arc MNQ, then you can plug it back in and you will be able to find what you're looking for, which is the measure of minor arc QM, and that is 88? No. Ugh. 72? I don't know. I'm done trying. I don't know. It's been a long day. What's up, Rachel?
Could you have solved for the minor arc without having it solve for the major arc?
Yeah. You would have to distribute a negative sign throughout all these and get negative 96, negative M, N, Q, and a positive. And so you would have gotten that 2 of your minor arcs is 264, and then divide that by 2, you got 132. So the measure of this minor arc is 132 degrees. Let's not forget our units. They're getting sloppy. I'm getting sloppy with that. Arcs and angles, their measurements are in degrees. Okie dokie. Is there another one on page 370?
13.
Number 13. Same diagram. This one's a tough one, apparently. If the measure of arc NQR, let's mark this. If this guy is 260, and the measure of angle 1 is 45 degrees. Then what is QN? Okay, this is going to be another systems of equations. It's going to be another systems of equations. The same thing's going to happen, but rather than the whole circle being broken up into 2 pieces, so we had that one intercepted arc plus the other intercepted arc was equal to 360. Now we're going to do it's the same thing, but now it's going to be the measure of arc, minor arc QR, and the measure of minor arc NQ adds up to 260. But it's going to be the same process. So, the measure of the angle, 45, is equal to 1/2 the difference of the 2 intercepted arcs. Well, we don't know either one of them, so it's the measure of arc NQ minus the measure of arc RQ. So again, we run into this issue where we have one equation with 2 unknowns. Well, we can write another equation that involves these 2 unknowns, and that is that they sum up to be 260 degrees. And so it'll be the same exact process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation, of this equation by 2, and get 90 is equal to the difference of these 2 arcs. -1 coefficient, +1 coefficient. So I'm just going to put a big old plus sign. And these 2 terms will cancel each other out. So this is going to be 350 equals 2 of the measure of minor arc NQ. Divide both sides by 2. And I get that that is 175.
Yep.
Is equal to the measure of minor arc NQ degrees. And that's the one they asked us for. So. But if they asked you for the other one, you would just plug it back in and take 260, which is the sum of the two, and just subtract away 175, and you could get the other intersection arc. Okay. Any last questions about the angles in circles? From the homework, from the notes. Okay. And then let's do this quiz.